All right. Good evening, and welcome everyone to this Plastow Planning Board meeting, July 17th, and we're going to open the meeting at 6:30. Charlene, take the roll.
Anthony.
Present.
Karen Robinson.
Here.
Lori Millette.
Here.
Kim Moore.
Here.
Emma Birdie is excused.
Is excused again.
Kane.
Here.
Bill Coy. Here. And Dee Boss.
Here.
All right. Looks like we have two sets of minutes that we want to review, and if you haven't already taken a minute to take a look at them, please do so.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from June 2024 and June 12th.
All right, second it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? So,
Should abstain from the June 12th, since I wasn't here.
all right, so. Do I want just one abstention for June 12th, or do we want to just say, we want to break it up? All right, so,
However you want to do it, doesn't matter.
We doing one at a time? Or we doing
yeah, why don't we do it one at a time?
Yeah, one at a time.
I move to accept the minutes for June 5th, 2024. Do I have a second?
Second.
it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excused. I was not there.
Okay. So 4-0-1. All right. Move to accept the minutes for June 12th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
You abstain. Okay. So 4-0-1 for the June 12th. All right. Next on the agenda is we have a public hearing for PB 2408. Yep.
Makes sense to do the alternate first.
You want to do the alternate
Whether
first?
you're, consider it.
Are we going to swear him in right away? Okay. And if there's anything procedurally that needs to be done, okay, in terms of, not being on two boards, if he were to be voted, okay.
Yep, good.
I have the warrant available here too. That can be signed by the board members once the appointment is complete.
Excellent. Sounds great. So a little bit of a, change that we're going to do. We have a request to have for someone to be an alternate to the planning board. We'll do that before we do the public hearing. All right, from Nolan Pelletier. You all should have a copy of the letter, but just read it into the record anyways. All right, to whom it may concern, I would like to put my name for an alternate seat on the planning board. I'm a small business owner and a resident of the town of Plastow for over 20 years. I am looking to give back to the community, and I think I can bring some new, fresh ideas and perspectives. If you need more information, please let me know. Nolan Pelletier. All right. Ms. Pelletier, if you want to just come up and state your name, your address.
Nolan Pelletier, 24 North Avenue.
All right. Do you want to say anything with respect to being an alternate, or if anyone has any questions after that, they can.
I would be more than happy to field any questions.
Mr. Pelletier, could you speak up just a little bit? Charlene's having trouble hearing you. That microphone doesn't amplify, that just goes out on cable.
Okay, I was told before it was popping on cable, so I didn't want to. I'm very boisterous sometimes, so is this better?
Is that better, Charlene? And I'm sorry, your address again is?
24 North Avenue.
Thank you.
If you could let everybody know what you do for work, because I think that's especially.
I'm an electrical contractor. I do everything, primarily commercial, and I have a large focus on solar.
So is that a small business then that you're a proprietor of or something like
Yes,
that?
yeah, I own it.
Yeah.
OHM Electric.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
well, we're doing economic development. We're doing economic development And that's probably something that, we want to have that perspective, small business wise and things like that added to the mix. Anyone else?
No.
All right. Thank you. Do we
Thank you.
do we just vote on it then, or
We could do it right
this
now.
is the first alternate then? All right.
What I'll do is I'll make a motion to accept Nolan Pelletier as an alternate to the planning board.
I think you want to appoint.
To appoint.
A point.
All right. I second that.
Second. No.
right.
Karen second.
Sorry.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? All right. 500. Thank you.
Work this down, sign on the line which has your name, please.
And just for anyone else, perhaps, watching, the planning board can have up to 5 alternates on it. Currently, we do have 3. So if somebody was looking to be an alternate, or maybe get some experience on a board, the planning board is one of the, the more,
Signs, I'll swear.
is one of the more, there's a lot happening. There's a lot of subject matter, and it's probably a good place to be able to get a feel for how things work if you're looking to participate in sort of a municipal framework. So feel free to contact the planning department or, reach out to me as the planning chair. Very good.
I think you only need 3. Don't you only need 3?
I was going to say, there's no other space now.
Yeah, I think you only need
And
3.
you have to sign the
So
top
it
one.
goes right above your name at the bottom.
Did I sign in the wrong place?
Probably.
No, it's okay. Well,
Yeah, no, here you go. You go.
Did you
I got
sign
it.
as Karen Robinson?
he signed his Laurie Millette.
He did?
Right, just
Karen,
sign it,
just
Karen.
sign in the right
Okay,
spot.
just sign right there.
You signed
Right,
as
okay.
me?
Thank you. Yes. One more time.
Okay.
All right, sign right.
Okay, do I sign as
Couldn't even
Richard?
find mine.
No, just sign
You can line it out, initial it, and then sign it.
No, that's not going to be right.
Line out his name, write your name in and initial it, and Mr. Anthony can do the same.
Okay,
On the
line,
other line.
line,
No,
line,
through
out
it.
here.
Sorry.
line out his, she said.
No, you want to line out where it says Richard Anthony typed in and then write Laurie Millette and write it, sign above that,
No,
right?
but a line through the name that was in there.
It's an official
You
document.
do it.
I don't want to,
I can run downstairs and reprint it really quick and we can re-sign it.
no,
It'll take me 2 minutes.
that's fine, but just tell me which one to line
Okay,
out.
you just knock
He
it off.
signed on your line, so you cross out his
Okay.
name and write your name in.
Right.
And he'll cross out your
Okay.
name and write his name in.
And then write your initials.
All right, thank you.
This is like the gang that couldn't shoot.
Oh, my God.
It's the advanced course.
But it's an official
No,
document.
exactly. Oh, you're right.
You're exactly right.
So, where it says Laurie, just write, cross hers out, right my name.
I don't know why he'd want to be Laurie Millette. It's not fun being me.
Ah.
Is there a place?
That's it. Everything else is me. Okay, Nolan, we'll get you sworn in quick and then. grab it. Right here, I state your name. Do solemnly and sincerely swear and affirm.
How come he's-
We can.
Sincerely swear and
Oh,
affirm.
planning board.
That I will bear faith, true allegiance. To the United States of America. And the state of New Hampshire. And will support the Constitution thereof. Solemnly swear and affirm that I will faithfully. And impartially discharge. And perform all duties incumbent upon me. Constitution of this Constitution and the laws of the state of New Hampshire and the laws of the state of New Hampshire. So help me God. So help me God. Thank you. All right.
Welcome.
Do you need a pen? Do you have a pen?
I've got one.
Okay, great.
So, it's just the sign here, the address, and initial.
Mr. Coy?
You can move that sign.
He started out as an alternate.
Yeah, you can move Tom Albert's
I was an
sign.
alternate for about a year.
Mr. Anthony, just to make you aware, Mr. Alberti still has not signed his appointment warrant.
Okay. All right.
I can send him out an email if you'd like to.
No, that'd be fantastic, please.
That was when.
I was hoping to be here tonight, we could take care of it.
Yeah,
He hasn't signed it yet?
apparently not.
Yeah. A lot more going on.
I think we could get maybe one a month. We didn't get any information until we sat down.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
You can sit right up there.
Mr. Pelletier, is it the same email address that you emailed me with earlier?
I'm going to be making a new email address just for this.
Okay, and you'll let me know
should
when
be
that is
doing
so I can
that.
put it on.
I will
the
do it
storm?
tonight and let you know tomorrow.
Perfect, thank you.
We all should be doing that.
Excellent. Thank you.
It's a little late for me now.
Thank you, Bill. All right, so let's move on to the public hearing, PB 2408. All right, the completeness of an application from Strategic Real Estate Management LLC for a site plan. Site plan proposes a park and ride for tractor trailers with drainage, landscaping, and lighting at 45 Westville Road, tax map 26, lot 36, in the C1 zoning district. The property owner of record is 45 Westville Road LLC. If the application is found to be complete, the planning board may immediately conduct a public hearing. All right, do I have a motion for the completeness of the application?
Make a motion.
All right. I move to accept the application for a site plan that proposes a private tractor trailer park and ride at 45 Westville Road, tax map 26, lot 36 as complete. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, second by Tim Moore. Any discussion? All right. I do have a couple questions.
Call for a vote? Or-
Well,
Unless you're still discussing the,
Well, we're discussing the motion of whether or not it's complete, correct?
Yes.
So at this point, any discussion on the subject? Or, because I do have a question with respect to whether or not, the logic for what it's zoned for, maybe the narrative associated with, I understand that it was state-owned, right, and that it was a park and ride, and that it did not have a site plan.
Correct.
Correct. And so as such now, the applicant's coming before us with respect to, having a site planning
Mhm.
presented. So it's in the C1 district. What exactly is the permitted use that we're saying that
You need to
it's?
accept the application is complete before you can have this discussion. The application is complete is just all the materials have been submitted to make the application complete.
Okay. But we're not discussing whether or not it is complete or not, right?
All right, you are
Yes, we have
discussing
the
that
right
it's
to do that.
complete. All the materials have been submitted for the
Okay.
board to open a public hearing on this matter.
So it just means
No.
that we received all the documentation. And then you open it up and then that's.
All right.
Okay, wait a minute. We have the right, if somebody's telling us it's complete, no site plan or anything to begin with in there should be discussion of whether we even think it's
There is a
complete.
site plan in there.
Yes, one made up just now, but it doesn't
That's what-
follow C1.
It wasn't just,
It does follow C1.
You need a variance, is what I'm saying. You need a variance, and that's why I think it's
Chair, could
incomplete.
you open the public hearing by calling the vote on the accepting? We can't hold the public hearing without opening.
This is not part of the
Wait,
public
one
hearing.
sec, One sec. What I want to know is whether or not the application is complete.
All the
Right.
materials
All
have
right.
been submitted.
And if there was something that was missing, All right,
then I would alert the board as to what was missing.
all right. And if we take the opinion that there's something missing,
Right.
is that, I
What's
think that's what.
missing?
Well, I
We
would,
have a zoning determination in here, zoning statement in here that says that it does fit in
okay,
the zone.
And I question that.
Then you would have to take that to the zoning board of adjustment to challenge it.
And that's what I think they should have to go to first.
No, you would have to, because there's an opinion from the zoning officer that says it does fit in the district.
I want to know how.
Because it's an existing use, the multimodal park and ride is in the permitted uses table for the.
I've never
commercial
heard of park and ride trailers.
They're at a disadvantage because the state had already established this use, but the state was not required to do a site plan for it.
Right. So who
these-
made the use?
well.
Correct.
The voters voted on the use to make multimodal park and rides available.
Well,
But I
to
don't think
that-
that's what tractor trailers are.
No, I don't
And
either.
I understand what you're all saying, but if you need to challenge the decision of the zoning official, you would have to take it to the ZBA to do so.
Why can't we make them try to find the variance
Because
for
they're
it?
fine with the zoning opinion that says that they're a permitted use.
It's an opinion. It's not written in the book. I can't find
It's
it.
an opinion of the person who has been appointed by the Board of Selectmen to make those decisions.
Well, I think, let
That
me,
was our
let me
decision.
reframe the question this way.
I really think you need to accept this application before you open discussion.
I'm,
And accepting the application doesn't obligate the board in any way. It's just accepting it so you can open for public hearing.
yeah, okay.
Has no bearing on making any kind of decision. It's just to be able to open a public hearing.
I just don't feel it's complete, and I explained the reason why. I think we should have a discussion on that.
Yeah, I said, like, I want to know why it would be considered anomalous to say that if we feel that the application is intrinsically incomplete in the sense that, for the reasons that would be discussed after the motion is seconded.
It's not incomplete because you have a zoning determination that says by the zoning official that this is a permitted use.
Where is it in the book?
It's under the permitted uses, that multimodal park and ride uses. Not every definition is going to fit perfectly for every use that comes before the board.
To that point, can I read the definition?
There's no definition of a multimodal park and ride
Well,
in there.
I mean,
It's just
just-
under the permitted uses table.
Well, I'm just saying that, like, on the park and ride
That's my
law,
point.
multimodal, page 10, all right? And this is pretty much what we're saying that the existing, use was, all right? And that's what, in C1 would be the permitted use that you're sort of mapping onto.
Again, I'm asking the board to please accept the application as complete before conducting this, which would fall under the jurisdiction of a public hearing. You're challenging the details of the application, not the completeness of the application.
I guess what I'd be looking for is a variance, is what I'm saying.
Right.
And, so in that sense, if
But it would
it's
be this
no,
board that would have to challenge the decision of the zoning officer who is not requiring them to go for a variance.
Tim, does this sound, my understanding is that if something's not complete, we're allowed to discuss whether or not it's complete. And,
You
in
can
this
have a
sense,
discussion about whether or not it's complete, but you have to state what's missing.
I just did.
well, I think
And-
that's
and
what we're
because-
trying to have a discussion on, is that if an application is coming forward, all right, and if the application were to, let's say, on the face of it, have to have, a use that's not listed as a permitted use, we would be looking for a variance of some kind. All right, and we're not seeing a variance, all right, and it's, and I think that's the glaring exception to whether or not it's complete or not.
But you have a zoning determination that says it's a permitted use. If you want to challenge, and that's the document that would make it completeness of the application itself, the zoning determination from the zoning official. If you want to challenge that that determination itself, then you would have to apply to the zoning board of adjustment to challenge, to make an administrative appeal of the zoning officer's decision.
And what's the mechanism for that? I'm unclear.
The
I
fact
don't
that
know.
you disagree with the zoning official's interpretation of the zoning.
And where does it say you have one interpretation, the zoning officer, not the
That's the
planning board?
duties and responsibilities of the zoning officer under the RSA's.
So you could do this anytime you want.
Well, I guess,
I have to have a basis in it, I just can't
Can I
willy-nilly.
just say,
Laura.
so it seems like, from what he just read, for the public hearing, the site plan proposes a park and ride for tractor trailers with drainage, landscaping and lighting at 45 Westville Road, and then it goes on. But if you read the intent that was submitted by Charlie, it says the application as submitted is to modify the use from a park and ride
Right.
to a tractor trailer overflow parking storage of trailers. That's the intent.
Right.
That's different than what was worded here for the public hearing. And that's what I think we have a problem with.
I understand.
And so we don't feel as though it's complete because we feel as though they need a variance.
I understand everything you're saying.
Okay, so then we take a vote and we vote no.
Then the applicant would have to reapply.
Right. Because we don't feel, we feel as though they need a variance.
Right.
I understand what you're saying.
just for, again, for people that just might be watching, it's just that the permitted use for C1 that's being referenced here is a park and ride lot, multimodal. An area of land used to integrate public and private transportation and to promote the use of carpooling, van pooling, and public transportation. Multimodal park and ride lots must provide facilities for bicycles, cars, one and more of the following: buses and trains. So, there's no,
I think the applicant is hearing everything that the board is saying and would not be surprised at the vote the board should be taking right now.
okay. So,
Call the vote.
and that's it, all in favor on the motion table for completeness of the application?
What is the motion?
We're voting on the completeness of the application.
So a yes vote says it's complete.
And we move forward to
No
public
says
hearing.
no.
Right, and no is that it's incomplete and the applicant needs to resubmit. Right, and I guess, I would ask then that if you vote no, that you state the reason why you're voting no. All right, so with that said, I'm going to call the vote.
Can we say anything?
They haven't opened the public hearing, you cannot.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
Abstain?
Abstain.
All right, so
Oh, no, you're not a voting member tonight.
Oh,
Sorry.
230.
And the reason I'm voting no is
And-
because I feel as though they need a variance.
Right.
I'm going to elaborate a little bit, but I do think you need a variance because I don't see it as being a permitted use. I don't see anything that's maps onto from a park and ride to a trailer park and ride and storage.
Permitted use in C1 needs to be on it, so
It's not.
that's why the zoning made that determination.
Unfortunately, you can't discuss anything with
Yeah.
them because they have not opened the public hearing. I'm sorry.
So I'm just indicating that it just seems that, I understand that, it's in essence, a parking lot, no accessory, not being used as an accessory
Right.
in some fashion. So it almost, seems that it does need a variance to have this type of allowed use. All right. Anything else? Anyone else want to add anything? All right. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you for your time.
All right.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
They didn't accept the application as complete, so it's like it didn't happen, so they would have to reapply and you would be renoticed when they do. The board has not released the staff report as a public document, so I can't give it to you. Unfortunately, this can't have the discussion. I'm sorry, they did not open the public hearing.
All right. Do you want to do the new business and just, or before the old business, or if there's any old business that people want to talk about, we can. I have a number of things that we can talk about, but if we want to just, move it on to,
Yeah, I think just moving on to new business. Okay, which one are we on? New business. Bond reduction.
all right, so I guess we'll move on to the bond reduction request, 44 Sweet Hill Road, AKA Horizon Way.
Okay.
All right. Right. Is there anything that we're looking to read into the record here, Dee, with the bond request?
There really isn't anything that needs to go into the record other than noting that you do have a letter of request and that you do have the letter of recommendation from Keach Nordstrom with the backup material. If it's just noted for the record that you've received all that, and then if the board's in agreement with that, they can make the motion.
All right. All right, so noted, has everyone had an opportunity to review that?
I don't have it. I don't know
Yeah,
where it is.
it's right here.
It's the second to the last piece of paper
know,
in the folder.
It's at the end.
You read it then.
All right, so Town of Plastown, New Hampshire, we were requesting a bond reduction on the following project information listed below. Jeff Cork from Keach Nordstrom Associates, Inc. will be sending over the updated bond estimate worksheet. Project name, Horizon Way, location 44 Sweet Hill Road, Plastown, New Hampshire, 03865, tax map 62, lot 29. Thanks, CP McConough, Construction Corporation.
Work is completed. Did you read the rest?
All right, so basically, his work is completed and inspected and found to be installed per approval. The applicant may request the corresponding portion of the construction bond to be released to the applicant. The requested release amount will be reviewed by the planning board engineer and approved by the board. In no case will the amount released reduce the amount remaining below 10% of the original total amount, plus the anticipated cost of recordings, record as-built plans. It is expected that the 10% amount will roll over to a performance bond. All right, so based on Mr. Quirk's review of the project and the revised bond estimate worksheet, staff has prepared the following motion. All right, so I'll entertain a motion.
I'll read it.
All right,
I move per the review and recommendation from Keach Nordstrom Associates, dates June 20th, 2024, that the construction bond for the 7-lot PRD subdivision project known as Horizon Way be reduced by $20,273, reducing the current construction bond from $71,175.50 to $50,902.50 with the following conditions. Per Article 3, 235-12, No further reductions or final release of the bond will be considered until completion of the project site work, final inspection report from Keach Nordstrom Associates, and submission of an as-built plan. An updated letter of credit shall be submitted to the planning department within 31 days of the date of this decision.
I second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? One abstain. So 410.
No, Mr. Coy recused himself. He's not voting at all.
I'm not voting at all.
All right.
Dan should have to vote.
Oh,
Oh.
okay.
Don't you have to
What's that?
appoint me for this?
All
There's
right.
one vote?
Yeah, we're going to appoint Dan Kane for one vote.
Okay.
So,
Aye.
all right. So it's going to be 5-0-0.
Right.
All right. Karen made the motion. I second.
Now we're going to demote him.
Yes, I'm bounced.
Bill, you're now fully empowered after this. All right. All right.
That one.
Any old business that needs to be discussed?
Can I ask like one question on this park and ride? Is that permissible?
No, we can't talk
No.
about it. No.
Okay. Can I ask a theoretical question?
If it's a generic procedural question.
What is, it's about use, you know, when does use occur, when does use not occur?
Right.
Dee, do you want to opine on that?
I'm not sure what the question is. I'm sorry.
Is you have a given property that's being used for something. When does the determination go that, when does the determination occur as to what it's being used for?
When they make an application, the zoning official is supposed to determine whether or not it's a permitted use in the district where the property is located.
Does it have to only be for an application, or is it the zoning officer or the code enforcement officer observes how the property's being used?
No. It's in accordance with what the zoning ordinances allow for. If I could
Like question.
maybe guess a little at a hypothetical question that might help. There may, say, for example, there's a parcel out there and it may be being used in a certain way prior to an application to the planning board. Is that where we're?
Yeah,
Maybe.
that's what I'm,
Okay. Usually if that is observed, caution will be given to the property owner that if they plan to make an application to the planning board, that they should discontinue any uses they are not approved for before they go to the planning board. And that is usually the advice that I would give from the planning department.
okay,
Whether or not they heed it is a whole nother deal.
correct, yep, okay.
Anything else? All right. I just have a couple of things. I called RPC to speak with Tim Roach. He's the director of RPC. I had a question about, when I go out onto their website, we're not listed as being a member, nor are our, what do you want to call it, commissioners listed as being commissioners. He indicated that that was an oversight. But in context, and he's going to be updating that, but in context of my conversation with him, all right, I was interested in sort of exploring what maybe RPC could do for us, or if they contemplate being able to do something for us within the context of economic development. And what I was, they don't have anything per se right now, but I know that they're going to be building something out like that. Because I know that, let's say, Mr. Roach is actually going to Salem and is engaging in some sort of an economic development conference or what with Salem. And he's indicated that he'd be favorable, maybe in subsequent weeks to being, coming here or arranging some sort of economic development type dialogue, what can be done with us. specifically, the Regional Economic Development Council, I believe that operates out of Raymond, is it, Tim?
Yes.
Yeah. They support, is it in around the Hampton area? Is it Stafford or what? There's an economic development zone that the Economic Development Council out of Raymond supports, right? And with that, what it was of interest is that there's actual tax dollars or maybe federal money that's associated with that economic development idea. So just in terms of wanting to, continue that dialogue of what can be done, I'd like to, maybe have RPC in the future, if they'd be amenable to that, or even putting us in touch with the people at the Regional Economic Development Council to come in, maybe in one of our workshops, and talk about economic development. What does that mean? What can be supported? The 125, I think that in terms of, what does it take to be designated an economic development area? I mean, I think Plastow, an argument can be made that we are, and have some unique characteristics, at least the 125 corridor and how it, abuts, Massachusetts and such. So if there's a possibility of starting a dialogue and exploring whether or not there's some, dollars, funds or such, that maybe they can support us or point us in a direction to do something in the way of a development of a, what, again, hypothetically, like a 125 area or something like that. I would like to, probably explore that and, just sort of contemplate having someone come in and speak to that issue. I did, roughly, as you'll know, that we don't have a circuit rider anymore from the RPC. And again, a lot of that has to do with the fact that, it's hard enough to hire people, maintain people, attract people, and the RPC is not immune from that. But to that also, you'll note that I think next month, the RPC will be coming in here to just sort of discuss part two of whether or not we would be interested in monies for housing development. Now, we invited them to come in, make their pitch, and what that would entail. It doesn't commit us to anything. But with an idea of fostering that relationship with the RPC, I'm willing to listen to what it is that they want to pitch and see if that's something that Plasta would be interested in or not. But it doesn't obligate us. Again, economic development. I went out to our website under the planning board, and I don't see a link or anything for the Southern New England Chamber of Commerce. All right, I see PACE associated, with, let's say, with the planning board, and then also for more resources. Like if you were to click on the planning board tab, you would see, a PACE link, and then maybe if you go out to other resources, you would see a link or some information about PACE. And I was wondering what we can do to have that updated. Do we know who updates the planning board?
I do.
Can we?
Board of Selectmen have not approved membership in the Southern Chamber.
I actually think that formal vote. Is that something that, what do we need to do since I think we discussed this a couple times. All right. Do we need to, is it sufficient just to say that the planning board would be interested in having we've had them in here for multiple times.
Would you like me to prepare a memo to the Board of Selectmen, Mr. Chair?
If that's what it requires, it'd be excellent.
Be happy to do that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, because I think it's, I think they're a very robust resource that.
I did too. I thought it was already
I thought that
done.
was done
I
last
thought that was
year.
already done last year.
No, I guess not.
I was under the impression that we were,
It wasn't voted by the Board of Selectmen, so to commit the town as a member, it has to be the Board of Selectmen. I think the planning board may have voted, but that would only make the planning board a member.
Okay.
all right. No, I think, and if it's necessary, I don't mind, going in, if the Board of Selectmen need more of a background or something like that, what the planning board might have been doing with them, I
You
don't
may
mind.
want the chamber to come in. I'd be happy to
Or even have the chamber. come
require
in.
that with the chair of the Board of Selectmen if you'd like.
That'd be excellent.
Okay.
So I mean, if it requires something more robust, then by all means, I'd
Happy to do
have
that.
them come in. But again, I think they have deep resources. They have dedicated marketing people associated with them. They have social media platforms that small businesses can push advertisements out for a nominal rate, and I believe they might even have a reach of in excess of 80,000 people in the southern New England area. So they do annual economic development and regional type meetings that I think that, from a networking point of view is huge for opportunities for local business. And I personally would like to start doing a little bit of work with them, maybe, in the context of economic development to, either, to try to, in a sense, to market the town in a positive way. And I think that was the modus operandi of having, let's say, the Evergreen come in, because they do work hand in glove. So you have a local paper that covers the southern New England area, and they partnered with the chamber. But to that end, we did invite Pace, I believe, to the last meeting that we talked about economic development, and I would like to give them an opportunity, if that's possible. Maybe have Pace if they want to come in front of the board and sort of pitch what they do and what
I can issue the invitation again if you'd like.
Yeah. So
Sure.
I mean, it's they're associated with Plastow, so
I didn't even get a return email last time, so, but I'll try again.
fair enough. All right, it can only try, right?
And that celebration they were talking about, I think it's going to be at Zervino's where they give
Right.
the diamonds. Remember how they were talking about there was a celebration for each community? They give a diamond for somebody that
Yeah. So,
they feel as though should be recognized.
and I
that
believe some
maybe-
from Plastow was
There is
recognized, right?
somebody from Plastow. It's actually the Board of Selectmen chair, his wife,
Yeah.
getting
No.
it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
All right. So that'd be fantastic. I mean, I know, and if we do adopt, if the Board of Selectmen do adopt them to be, be a member, would we be able to, in addition to just sort of putting these things on the planning tab, would we be able to push some of their social media on the official Plastow Facebook?
Not on the town Facebook page. That's town events only on the town
No.
Facebook page.
All right. If they did do events that involve like the town, because I know that they've already done ribbon cuttings, I think, with the fire department and maybe even
If
the
it
police
were-
department.
For the fire department, yes, they would, but if
All
it
right.
was like a ribbon cutting for a local business, it would not go on the Facebook page.
Right.
It could go on the Plastow community page because I believe it meets their rules. But
Okay.
the town website, town Facebook page is town events only.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, they have done over the last year or so, they have been doing,
I
I
think the
guess maybe
theory
they
behind
assumed
it-
that we were a member of their,
Yeah, I think the theory behind that is so that the town events don't get lost in
Yeah.
other events that can be publicized elsewhere,
okay.
so that so the town stands out.
You don't want the town Facebook to become all the other Facebook pages out there.
Right.
It's just really what it is, meet the page.
right.
All right, no, fair enough. Impact fees.
I sent out the methodologies that I have on record for the existing impact fees at the chairman's request,
Yep.
so that the board could discuss which ones they might potentially want to update and when they would like to some kind of a workshop to talk about it and/or an RFP to be able to get a consultant to help with the update. The only one I do not have a methodology for, and I do not believe one exists, is for the roadway impact fee. So that would be the one I would put at the top of the list.
Huh.
Because without a methodology, it can be difficult to defend the charges that we're assessing to people on these impact fees without a methodology behind it.
Now, why would that hold up sending out the request for proposal? I mean, why couldn't we just, push the request for proposal out?
I didn't,
Oh, okay.
I'm just waiting for the board to tell me which ones they want me to try to draft a request for proposal for. I didn't want to.
Can we just do it all for all of them? I mean, is there a reason just to pick and choose? Why
It's
can't we just?
expensive. And,
Well, I mean, the request for proposal itself.
well, you want to be specific because not everybody does everything.
Mhm.
So you don't want to be searching for a roadway impact fee and only people that do school impact fees apply.
All right. Do we know who would be sending out this request for proposal? I know that there was
Few and far
question. Yeah,
between.
that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
I only know of one anymore because the one that did ours initially has retired, long retired now.
Okay.
I only know one other name, Mark Fougere. Tim, you may know other names, but that's the only one I know that even does them anymore.
Yeah, I haven't heard of anyone else, but,
It's a very specialized process because it is
Being
something,
a soil scientist.
it is something that you could end up in
Similar.
court over. So that's why it's such a specialized thing.
All right. So I guess just at least to move forward, can we at least identify who we would be sending a request for proposal for? And
Well,
maybe,
we would put it out on the website. We would put it on NHMA. We could put it up on PlanLink. There's a number of places we could post it. And I could direct one to Mark Fougere, who's the only name I know
Yeah.
for certain. And if RPC has other names that I can give that they can give me, I can do that as well.
all right.
But I can prepare.
But we can move concurrently is what I'm trying to get at. So, maybe like set it in motion, not waiting for us to, swing hammers on the,
Well, I can prepare an RFP draft for the board for the next workshop.
that'd be excellent. That'd be excellent.
Can I recommend that we start with the roadway one?
Sure.
There's two, what is it, Tim, about every 5 years is a good time frame to
Yeah,
review them?
yep.
And
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
think
the
the
other,
roadway one has been done since it was incepted, 15 years ago now?
and it's-
easily?
yeah, probably that old. But the other ones, right behind it, public safety, fire apparatus, costs have skyrocketed since that's done. So that, potentially if that gets redone, that would be a bigger impact fee.
I think the last time we did it was school and recreation.
Yeah.
So-
That
was
was,
I was just gonna say,
It
yeah,
was.
it's not-
School is probably the other direction because they've, I think, pretty much paid off all their bonds. So there's less capital expense over there. So that impact fee might actually go down. But either way, you want something that can stand the legal challenge, whether the impact fee goes up or down.
And the other caution about an RFP, just to make the board aware, is usually there's a timeline on what they will hold that price that they submit to you for. And
Okay.
if it doesn't match up with when we can get funding for it through the budgeting process, that sometimes can be a challenge. So there's not a rush to get it started right now because you're not going to know if you're going to have funds for it until March. And if they put a 60-day hold on the pricing, we can try to put something in the RFP that says must be valid until, June 1 or something, but that will often lessen the number of submissions you get because they don't want to commit to that kind of a timeline.
But we can still at least have things staged. I mean,
You'll
we
get
could
a
just,
ballpark, which will
Yeah.
help you with the budgeting request.
Right.
Yeah.
all right. Anyone else have anything that they want to bounce off of? Let me think. I have a. All right. Just maybe a couple things then. Again, thinking out loud. and, you know, because I have been approached by, you know, a couple residents or what. And I think at least, you know, we should think about, you know, it being sort of the planning board, at least giving it maybe expression. And I'd like to know, you know, where we stand with respect to, let's say, traffic calming on Main Street. Okay. And I know that we've reached a point where options were presented to the town. And the town, in essence, was in a position where it was going to pick and choose and such. And I know that, you know, there's a, you know, a project that you're overseeing, D, that involved maybe that Westville, that area there.
I'm not overseeing that one. That one's being done with the Board of Selectmen and the
Okay.
Highway Department. But
Right.
the state right now for the traffic calming is waiting for that
Yeah.
to be finalized, for a final decision to be made on whether or not that's going to be made permanent.
Yeah.
And then to study that for a little while longer to see if that has an impact on the 121A corridor. So the traffic calming project itself right now is at a stop.
Yeah, but I think it's, you know, in terms of it stopped, there are certain things that I think that, you know, I'd like to be able to, you know, maybe have said publicly, you know, in terms of what options would be. I mean, it isn't like, it doesn't have to be imminent. But, you know, if an option were, let's say, a roundabout of some kind.
I've had questions on that.
Yeah, if it was like a roundabout type, you know, question, maybe that would be something that would be an interesting public hearing to have. Like, what does it mean to
The
say
state
we're
did
going to have a
hold two
roundabout?
public hearings on all the options that were
Yeah.
available.
There was one at the library.
There were two at the library.
Yeah.
And they sent out two different surveys as well.
We sent out a survey
Yeah, we
too.
sent out a survey
So,
too. Right.
You know,
We don't need any more surveys.
No,
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 but I'm saying they have done those things that
Yep.
you're suggesting.
right.
And it's a state project, so I don't see them wanting to schedule anything else that's going to cost them time and money to do until they are sure they're going to move forward with it.
Right.
And that's going to be dependent on the Westville Road intersection for now.
Do we have a contact that if we wanted to talk to that was for traffic calming, that would be sort of an overall project contact that, you know, that someone wanted to call and speak to?
we do have some money that we put aside too from the planning board.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I guess what I want to know is,
We don't have money put aside for traffic calming. There was a $50,000
Right.
but that
Roundabout, actually, because it
There
was
was a
supposed to help with the
$50,000
traffic.
condition of approval on the warehouse, but that warehouse, we're not sure it's even going to be built at this point in time because they're having trouble getting their alteration of terrain permit. So that money may not be available.
fair enough. Yes.
Point of information, is that study available on the website? Can we see what the state submitted? Could I see what the state submitted for proposed solutions?
I can send out the link that the state has on their website. I'll have to search it out a little bit, but I can send out the link to the board on the state's website for what all the proposals are.
Thank you.
It is there.
Is there? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, it's just in terms of like, you know, would be like, and again, you know, well, running around Newburyport and looking at roundabouts, you know,
There's a lot of.
I mean, I've heard stuff about people say that a roundabout would be like a very expensive type scenario and stuff like that. But, you know, again, looking at roundabouts, some of them that look very nice and have a functional aspect to them are the equivalent of just circular curbing. All right. And, you know, and then sort of a built up area. And I'm sure there's something underneath it that meets some sort of structural requirements. But in terms of that, you know, and then you have sort of the illusion of like maybe built out architecturals and such. But, you know, it serves the functional purpose. And
That was, I'm
One
sorry.
thing you need to remember is the dollar amount.
right.
I mean, it's not like a blank check.
That's what I was going to say. The amount of money that's been approved already by governor and council for the 121A traffic calming is less money than the cost of a roundabout would be.
Yeah.
We have $800,000. The roundabout was well over $1 million.
$1 million for
responsible for the
a
delta.
roundabout.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, but in terms of, you know, I guess that I think that, you know, that kind of falls into sort of a planning, economic development. You know, we don't need to necessarily,
Yep.
you know, be saying something, but I think these sorts of things, you know, can be presented. You know, again, the public has an opportunity, you know, to, you know, hear again repeatedly, you know, what options that they have. those options don't necessarily need to be purely functional and utilitarian. They can look aesthetically pleasing. And, you know, I guess I'm coming, you know, from that. We could, you know, I've heard stuff where people said four-way stop signs everywhere. And it's not, you know, I would say that that's not aesthetically pleasing or,
It doesn't work.
well,
That's what it comes down
yeah.
to. The state's only gonna spend X
Well, I don't know how many dollars that is. I guess that's my point. If I, you know, if someone would have,
number I saw was under.
Yeah, it was 800,000, the last number I saw.
yeah, I'd like to see, you know, I guess, you know, if I'd like to be able to provide a narrative to anyone that comes to me
Right.
that says, what are we doing for traffic calming? What's available to us? Be able to say, this is the kind of money that we have.
I'll get the link and send it out to the board for what the state has for information.
All right. Yeah. And if that involves a contact, I think I would like
See
that
what I
too.
can do.
Thank you.
So at one of the last meetings, we had the discussion about the possible traffic light at Westville Road.
Is this what meeting is this that you're talking
The
about?
working group.
The work group for this project.
Okay.
And there was, they were saying that, DOT was saying that the way they have things defined, traffic lights are not a traffic calming solution. It's a traffic safety solution. But they have just submitted an amendment to the 10-year plan that enhances the scope of the traffic, of the 121A traffic calming study to say traffic safety and traffic calming. So now their scope would include potential light at Westville Road. Whether or not how that might come to fruition is something else again, but at least it's not excluded by definition. So that's a step in the right direction. I didn't see any change in the dollar amount, in the construction amount.
Well, I mean, we
Not to say that it was or wasn't, but it wasn't in this last amendment.
now we talked about, has anyone talked about the potential for private public partnerships type things, you know, in some of these projects? I mean, if you did have something that was, you know, a roundabout is prohibitive, but if someone were to say that, you know, in terms of, let's
The
say,
state road, it would be up to them to determine.
State road, the town doesn't endorse it.
well, I guess that's the sort of discussion that would have. Like if someone were to say that, you know, a roundabout, that if there was some, you know, if there were people that were going to contribute, you know,
But to answer your question directly, I've not heard any of that discussion. The state has not put that forward in discussion at all.
yeah, because I guess I mean, again, I'm back to while walking around, let's say Newburyport, and I don't want it to be, I'm only saying because, you know, they revitalize, let's say the waterfront area. The waterfront area, you know, that was a private public type partnership, and everyone, you know, they threw up all sorts of plaques with these people, thank you for doing this, and this.
Unfortunately, it's a difference between what the town wants and what the state is willing to pay for when it comes from Main Street. We
Yeah.
can provide input, we can kind of say, this would be really nice, and the state will come back with, if you're willing to pay for it, that's great.
Well, yeah, I
But
guess what I'm
that's
saying.
what it ends up being a lot of times, is what the state's goal is versus what the
Yeah.
town's goal is.
and-
You know, so be careful where you're gonna put the roundabouts, because you hate to take someone's property.
no, it's just, yeah.
I think they were speaking mainly about one, and that was, you know, right.
Yeah, I don't think we should be afraid to just have discussions, you know what I'm saying? There's not this, yeah, right.
Ideas don't cost anything.
right. So, I mean, if someone comes back and says, no, no, and no, and that's ridiculous, no, then,
But that's,
I-
again,
that's
that's why
fine.
they had the two public hearings and the two different surveys, is to give people the opportunity for their input.
oh, you know, did you see the survey?
I blasted those puppies on Facebook on a
Yeah,
constant
I've
rotation.
done two of them,
I did
All
see
right.
them too.
and I think there was a meeting at the library and
Yeah.
like
There
around.
was a
two
meeting
of
at the
them,
library. There was a meeting at the library.
Yeah.
So I probably completed the surveys, but,
Mapped out all the different ideas.
Right.
Yeah.
It was, I think it was kind of like before Christmas. I don't
It's
think.
been a while
was.
because
Yeah.
they
It
put
was.
everything
It was
on
just
hold
before
because of what
Christmas.
was going on at the Westville intersection.
Yeah.
It was just before Christmas.
And the wheels up of the state move even slower than
Yeah.
the feds do.
No, if we could get some contact information as such, like I said, I don't see any harm in having discussions or even making stuff that was public before public again. My idea is that, like, if we're doing economic development or something similar to that, we're going to return repeatedly to these themes that need to be pushed,
Right.
so that it isn't just a one-time thing or another. To that point, again, sorry, the Chamber of Commerce, the Southern New England Chamber of Commerce, does have an additional link on their website that talks about economic resources and things like that, right? Where they pointed to various state organizations and things like that, small business and such. And I thought that, and it was pretty much on point. And that's why I was thinking that if they were on our website and under the additional information tab that you see PACE has, like click on PACE and there'd be like some interesting things that, let's say, a small business would be interested in. They have similar and probably more robust type options that, that just are on point. That,
As
in
soon as the
terms.
Board of Selectmen approve
Yes.
it, I'll be happy to put the link
So,
up.
and I guess that's what I'm looking at. It isn't one and done. We need to talk about it. We need to, we can only market it, in a positive sense. We got Plastow, the second edition of the Evergreen had Plastow, commemorating our Old Homes Day on it. It was front page, and they're going to be reporting on, in our town. And so it's free, and
And if anyone is listening, Old Home Day is looking for committee members.
Yes, that was on the website already.
Yeah.
Yep.
Enjoy your old home day. Now's
Yeah.
the time to step up.
Said,
Yeah.
step up now.
Because I think the majority of the committee,
Left.
yeah.
There were a couple.
Well, they had been on that committee
Right.
for
For
many
a long time.
years. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
And, in this last year, there was a lot put into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was the 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there was a lot.
So, yeah.
And people stepped up.
It's a good way to get involved in
Mhm.
the town or something. And that's a
Yep.
fun group. Everything's positive.
Yep.
Yep.
I just have two more things. Site plan applicability. I think you and Tim were working on those.
Site plan updates, not
Updates,
applicability.
okay.
Yep,
Alright.
we're still working on them, and as I said in the email that I sent you, that we're hoping to have a draft ready for the September workshop.
Okay.
This was the merging of the
Merging of the
subdivision
two
and
into a
site
single
plan.
document so that we avoid conflicts when you update one and forget there's a
Yep.
corresponding one in the other.
Is that the same? Is that what you were working on, Tim?
Yes.
Similar? Okay, all right, just so that I can merge the two in my mind into one. And prime wetlands. I know we've.
It was the
Ouch.
last meeting.
Did you have to say
Did you
it?
have a meeting?
That's an ouchie.
On the Conservation Commission, we were waiting to have kind of all the members there. One member resigned he's been on a long time and to spend more time with his family, which is
Yep.
perfectly understandable. He's been on there for quite
He's
some
very good.
time.
Yep, no, you volunteered.
So the chairman have some issues of her own. So there's really we do have an alternate, somebody under 60, which is always nice to have. I mean, of the
I can't say
four of us now, I think, well, I don't know, Buzzy and I are certainly over 70. Not sure how old Jill is, but she's retired, so she's getting up there. So Olaf is Westphalen is the one guy left that can actually get out and look
And do
at
things.
trails and do stuff. We've been having a problem with the conservation easement and people being on a trail that has been closed. So anyway, there's issues there. So we really haven't had a chance to talk about prime wetlands. Our initial discussions indicated we were willing to have a smaller buffer. But that's about as far as.
So
we've
how
gotten.
many members do you have now? Do you have 4, 5,
4.
4? And how many can you have?
It's a 5-member.
5-member?
Set up to be 5, but I'm not sure how many members the RSA allows
I think it's 5.
for, but
I
we
think it's
have
5 and
one.
5.
Yeah, we can have 5 alternates as well. Yeah, but we have one.
Are you talking about Mr. O'Brien?
Yeah.
He's not under 60, Tim.
We don't ask how old you are.
Probably safe.
So is that something that's going to eventually end up in front of us for a public hearing?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to have plenty of runway on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, maybe we set some time aside at our August workshop, and we'll do some kind of an update, see how we. I think it's going to be up to the planning board, I think, more than conservation to carry that forward if we want to do that.
So if we were to carry it forward, what are we looking to do? Is there,
Tim, does the conservation holds the public hearing on the map, correct? The planning board would just put it on their list of warrant articles,
Yeah.
and it would be included in that public hearing.
The RSA states either the planning board, selectmen, or conservation commission can hold a public hearing on prime wetlands, which we did last December. Conservation sponsored that.
Right.
So,
I'm very grateful for that. It was over 400 certified letters. That went out.
yeah. So, to say we had the public hearing a year ago, I mean, that doesn't really cut it. So, depending on what we decide in August, we'd either have a subsequent public hearing just for prime wetlands or wrap it up with the zoning if there's some zoning changes, which there would be if we go with a reduced buffer. So, again, it depends on exactly how we approach it. But I mean, in either case, I think we have to have at least a couple of public information sessions, not necessarily a public hearing, but and try to get some maybe a cable show put together so people can.
If the buffer is reduced, does that reduce the amount of notices that have to go out? No?
I would think so. Yeah.
For the buffer? I thought it was you had to notify somebody for where the designation of the wetland was,
Well, yeah, but it's the wetlands plus the buffer.
plus the
So
buffer, okay.
if if the buffer shrinks, then some properties.
How much, just out of curiosity, how much of a reduction are we talking?
What we tried to do last year, the suggested buffer was 125 feet. We've been talking about 100, which was the former state
I
buffer.
don't think 25 feet buys a lot less notifications, though.
Probably not.
Well, I wouldn't
Probably not.
It won't.
No.
think so, but
Might knock a few out, but it's not gonna,
No.
yeah. I mean,
we're not gonna knock it in half.
No.
no.
That was like a 3-day project to get those out for Tib and Jill.
Isn't it a butters too? So wouldn't that
It's,
essentially stay the same, even if you drew that back? It would essentially be the same number of people.
it would be close to.
I think pretty much there might be a half dozen that drop out, but
All right, so if you were looking to do something in the way of like, media type, or informational, do you guys have an idea how that's going to happen? Is it just the consultant comes in and opines generically about, or are you going to?
yeah, I mean, we haven't, really haven't got to that point whether we want the consultant back
All right.
or not.
All right, I guess just want to avoid having, at the last minute, something show up and then,
Yeah, unfortunately, it's already kind of the last minute,
Yeah.
but
This requires a long runway.
Yeah, right.
It really does, because you gotta have the, just notice, sending the notifications out, right?
Right.
And that's.
Yep.
That's right.
In whatever we were going to do for the zoning ordinance, and whether it's last year or the year before, we've already have that pro forma, right? That language.
The wetlands,
Wetlands is already in the zoning.
the
ordinance.
prime wetlands ordinance sections have been adopted.
Correct.
It was the matter of adopting the map that would match up with it. Because we can't enforce the prime wetlands ordinance until the map has been adopted.
But was there language, is it just the map, or is
Just
there
the map.
language to go?
Unless
Oh,
they
it's-
make the change to the buffer, then we'd be amending the ordinance as well.
yeah. So there's two aspects. One is the zoning, which is, we already have a wetlands ordinance, and there's a line in the table of buffers that says prime wetlands. That's been in there just as a placeholder, because the official step that needs to occur at town meeting is the town adopts the prime wetlands.
Right.
And that's what the conservation's public hearing was last December.
Right.
Was for that. So there's two things there: the zoning and the adoption of the prime wetlands by the town.
Okay. Good.
Right. Anyone have anything else? Any thoughts? Right.
I think that's
Welcome,
good.
Nolan.
Yes, welcome.
All right. So if there's nothing else, we'll close this meeting at 7:45. Thank you.
There we go. Not bad.